Rolling. Action.
Welcome to the Trey Show, episode 2. As you know, I'm Andrew, this is Dave, and today our special guest is Nick. We will be talking once again about leadership, and today Nick is going to particularly talking about what it's like to be mentored, be part of a mentorship program, and how that can build you up into being a strong leadership. So on that note, I'm going to pass things over to my brother Dave here.
Yeah, Nick has an interesting story, especially within Trey because he started in Trey as
I think it was a freshman.
freshman in high school. So he was a youth in Trey and during his junior year, him and I talked a little bit about about the end of your junior year, between your junior and senior year. We talked about the Trey Junior Leadership Program, which during your senior year transitions you from
It's,
more or less.
Yeah, it's from being a youth into being leadership and actually having a role in Trey.
As a leader, so when you graduate from high school, you're more or less working towards being a leader in Trey because you start, we're a youth ministry, so we minister to youth and we build up youth. And once you graduate from high school, we don't just throw you to the wolves. We still want to build you up and mentor you within Trey. And part of that is our junior leadership program, which then helps you grow into that leadership if that's what you want to do after you graduate from high school. There's other people involved in that who have worked their way through that as well. But Nick's story is also a little bit different because at that exact same time, Trey's board of directors was also in need, and we had been talking about how to utilize everything within Trey to build, equip, and encourage the youth through these different opportunities to mentor them. And one of those things was to actually add the youth to Trey's board of directors. And through a lot of prayer and that kind of thing, Trey's board was led to Nick, and I sat down with Nick and explained that, and he kind of jumped at it and there was some bumps and bruises along the way, but it worked. It was great, and he brought in a whole new perspective to Trey that worked out great. I'm going to let him talk a lot more about it as his personal experience through that whole process and what it looked like and how it worked it.
So just starting at the beginning, I was, as Dave said, I first came to Trey as a freshman, and at that time I didn't really have a group of people that I really hung out with on Sundays to help build up my faith. So it was fun, it was interesting, and then I don't think I ended up coming again for like a year, and then one of my friends who comes here all the time, Bobby, says, "Hey, we're doing an overnighter this weekend for Trey. We want you to come on." Okay, sure, it sounds fun. So I ended up coming, and after that I started coming consistently for, I want to say, 2 years. And then shortly after that I had asked Dave, because I was graduating the next year, and I asked, well, what can I do with Trey after I graduate? What's there left for me after this point? And that's when Dave and I started talking about the junior leadership program. And for me, that was an interesting concept because I'd never really saw myself as a leader. I was just someone who honestly prided myself on just kind of being there, not playing a huge major role in any way, but just being there as an experiencer. And when I was asked to join the board, that also came as a huge shock and of something I was not expecting myself to do. So when I ended up joining the board, I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to be any good at this. I don't know if this is really what I'm meant to do. And my first time, working with the board, and I'm helping making all these decisions, and I'm realizing, oh my gosh, I'm actually not too bad at this. I can actually kind of do this. And ever since then, it's helped me realize I can be a leader. And after I joined the board, I started pushing myself more to do more around, at college, I started pushing myself to be higher up on my on-campus job, helping people whenever I can, and even, talking to other youth that I bump into around campus and, mentoring them, helping them, with just kind of get through life when I can. So it's made a huge difference. It kind of just completely changed how I saw myself.
Would you talk a little bit about either some of the decisions you've helped make with the board or decisions that that you like, this is something I had a big impact on since I've been on the board? Like, here's a change that's happened, or just along those lines.
Yeah, there weren't a whole lot of decisions I had a direct impact on, but I know there were a couple of dealing heavily with how we run things around here. I mean, the idea of, always having kind of something to do for the kids who come, and so they're not just kind of sitting around, making sure that, and that kind of led into actually getting them more involved with filming, because we would have kids that would show up and just do what I would do, is just kind of be there and not be a part of anything, and they were still having fun, but I came up with the idea of just like, well, let's always just have something for them to do, whether it's playing a game or I think one of you suggested, making sure everyone has a role to play in the filming that day. So, now, like, it's always the students that run the camera, that run sound. I think we even had 2 that were writing 90% of the scripts for Deep Encounter. So, I mean, as far as I can remember, that was like the big one that I played a part in. And, yeah.
Talk a little bit about the whole program, I guess, from, you talked a little bit about it, but what I'm getting at more is, like I said, there were those occasional times where you and I had to sit down and help steer the conversation a little bit. Those growth opportunities, those moments where mentoring, whether it's for me or Andrew or somebody else within Trey J, that helped you grow into, grow from the youth to the adult leader you are now, even with a Trey J within life.
Yeah, there were a couple times where, I'm like, oh sweet, I'm on the board, I'm making a difference, but I really wasn't living up to all that I could do. And there were a couple times where like I'd make a mistake and one of you would come in and just like, you're not doing this right, and just kind of point me in the right direction. And a lot of it just came from, watching like you guys interact with students and just watching how you ran things, and like Katie played a big part of that too. Just watching, like, we often joke like Katie was the one person that could probably throw a full-scale revolution against Dave and take over Trey J forcefully, and just and that's something I wanted to be able to do. I wanted be something that
You wanted to stage a coup?
well, yes, I wanted to be higher up when we staged the Great Revolution, but I wanted to be someone that students looked up to and aspired to be, and throughout this experience working in the program, going from junior leader to being on the board, and it kind of just, especially when I became on the board, I found myself like almost carrying myself better when I was at Trade because I'm like, I'm making a difference, which, as I said, I carried on to when I went on to college. And I feel like when someone goes through the leadership program at Trade, it's not just becoming a leader at Trade, it's becoming a leader in life and knowing how to be a leader, and being that person that people want to respect, that people want to listen to. And because you're working with middle schoolers, if you can get a middle schooler to follow you, you can get anybody to.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we don't want to go super long.
Yeah.
We like this thing to be about 10 minutes, just get some thoughts out there and make you think about some things out there. In 2 weeks again, we will be talking some more about leadership, digging into some more of it, and have another guest here to interact with that thought process. Because the goal isn't just for me and Andy to sit here and talk, or me and whoever to sit here and talk, or Andy or whoever to sit here and talk. It's let's dig into what it looks like, the complexities in life, and how that looks, so that we can grow together and we can see what that looks like, not just great concepts, but real life. So that's what we got for this week. Just remember, mentoring is something that anybody can do for anybody, and that's one of the main things that we've really focused on here in Trade J, is how to make that look. And we've had our ups and downs, and that's why I wanted to bring Nick in here, because I thought he's a great thought process on a lot of that. So, and how we've done some of that and made it look. We're not perfect. I mean, by no stretch of the imagination are we even close to. I mean, we're always rethinking it and
All made our mistakes.
yeah, being on the board, you know that. I mean, we're always, okay, how do we make this better? How do we get better at this? How do we tweak it and make it better for the next person? So, with that, I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Trey J Show. I almost said David. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Trey J Show. Stay tuned. Like and comment the video. The more comments we get, if you have thoughts, things you want us to talk about, no matter what it is. I mean, it doesn't have to be on leadership. It can be on anything else, because eventually we'll move on to other topics as well. So we want to talk about things and dig into things that matter to you. We're not going to be right on everything, but we want to get the conversation going and get things thought about and talked about. You know, that's more the goal than anything else. So with that said, have a great couple of weeks. We'll be back in 2 weeks, and stay tuned. Hopefully, just one quick other note. Hopefully within the next couple of months, we'll set a time on Saturday night, and we'll be going live with it on Saturday nights through YouTube, and then it'll be posted shortly after that. So thanks for watching, and have a great week.